Wait a minute, very good season.
Yes. Come on down.
Okay, I will call the work session for Tuesday, October 5th, 2021 to order. The time is 6:30. Discussion items. Item 1, proposals for splash pad and park improvements, 22005.
Okay, I know everybody gasped. If you had a chance to look at this, you all took a big
Yeah.
gasp. We talked about this when we were doing budget workshop about the condition of the splash pad currently, and that we were investing roughly $20,000 to $30,000 a year annually just to try to keep it running. And it wasn't running at an adequate level by any means.
Right.
So did some research and reached out to a company called Whirlex. Whirlex is a very well-renowned company that several other municipalities utilize. They provide warranted work. They have on-staff engineers. They know what they're talking about. And so I wanted to reach out to a company that was well involved with building splash pads and have them come out and take a look at ours. And when he did, he shared that ours was not built to code or standard, and that it would require a complete demolition and rebuild of the site. The biggest problem with the current splash pad is that it is subgrade, and a splash pad must be above grade. Subgrade meaning that the ground around it is higher than the splash pad itself. Therefore, every time it rains, everything washes into the splash pad. He said by code and standards, it has to be above grade, meaning it has to be built up higher, and it's not.
That's nasty.
He did provide a quote. I did ask him just provide a quote for it. He did do so. And as you probably saw, that quote came in at well over $500,000 to completely renovate. That does not include state fees. That does not include demolition of the current splash pad. And that also does not include the rubberized track. That would just be a brushed concrete foundation on there.
That's ridiculous.
Non-slick concrete. It is very pricey to get it done right.
We paid $1 million for the whole park. Oh, maybe that's our problem. Never mind, go ahead.
Very well could be.
You got a bargain basement park.
He did warn me. He told me straight up, and I really enjoyed meeting with him and having the conversations with him. He said he's not the cheapest in the business, but he warranties his work for 15 years. They're a reputable company that has been around for many, many years. And he said, we're not cheapest because we do it right. And so I kind of anticipated that quote was going to come in roughly about $500,000, and it came in more than that. But I feel that this is a accurate number that we should be considering if the city looks to pursue to replace that splash pad. I'm not saying spend $500,000. I'm just sharing the information with you. Obviously, right now, we do not have the funding to address this issue.
That was going to be my next question.
As we were out there, we talked about a couple of different concepts and a couple of different ideas. I asked him to include the quote on the splash pad just so everybody was aware. We took a look at the playground equipment at Pittman Park, and there were some concerns there. A lot of the pieces of equipment that are out there are broken. The company that installed them is obviously no longer in business. They're no longer covered under any warranty. And so they would require replacement. Some examples of that are the spring horses that are out there. Mm-hmm. Several of the springs are broke. They just kind of weeble and wobble. They're not exactly enjoyable playground pieces. He took a look at those. And he also brought up the fact that we currently do not have any foundation out there underneath the playground equipment. It's just simply dirt and grass, which is an issue that we need to address as soon as possible, regardless of if we replace any of the actual playground equipment out there or not. We need to have some sort of foundation out there on the playground for those kids. He put together a submittal in his recommendations and pretty much would remove everything out there with the exception of the rock wall that we have. And then the big piece that has the slide and the swings and the climbing board on it. He said those are actually in very good shape. It's the other pieces that are dilapidated and need to be replaced. That quote came in at $62,000 to replace all of those. Here in a few minutes, we have another agenda item that's going to be coming up talking about CDBG RFP. And I think this may be the $62,000 and maybe even potentially more for Johnson Park. These may be eligible projects that I think would be beneficial and qualify underneath that RFP. So if city council would like to pursue revamping the playground at Pittman Park and playground at Johnson Park, I would recommend we try to do that through the CDBG HUD funds that they're asking for projects for right now. We'll get into that when we get into that agenda item, but I don't think, well, I know that currently we're not in any position within the general fund to address either one of these currently. But I wanted to make sure that you were aware of what the numbers were and what the issues were, so we can keep that in the back of our mind as we move forward.
Thank you.
Questions, comments?
I may need some oxygen here in a little bit, but no.
So
no
do
more
we need to go ahead
questions.
and start taking that splash pad up and maybe sell off the parts that we could sell?
Probably would not be a bad idea. But as it stands right now, our staff is just too overloaded. I think we just leave it as it is for the time being until we get to a point that we're ready to address that and decide what we want to do with it. It's a good concrete foundation and it may be a good site to do.
But once again, it's below grade.
It is below grade. We cannot do anything water related there. But if we've got a good concrete foundation, maybe we can do some sort of other attraction in that location.
Do we have to pay the CBG funds back?
No, ma'am. And I think that's actually the next agenda item, which we can go into that whenever
Are
the
we
mayor's
done with
ready.
this? Everybody ready to move on? Okay, so item 2, Tarrant County request for proposals, RFP for CDBG CV available funding 22004.
The CDBG is obviously the typical block grant program. CV stands for coronavirus. Tarrant County has CARES Act funds still left over that have not been allocated. Attached with that agenda item is the RFP that they sent out. There's a few different project ideas that I'd like to bring to the table and kind of get your input and guidance on how the city council would like to proceed forward. We can either do and focus, we can only submit one application, only one RFP. So we can't do multiple projects. We can only do one. We can either focus on A, public facilities or public infrastructure, or B, public services. Whichever we apply for, it must be directly related to COVID-19. This is not like the ARPA funds. This is CARES Act funds. So this has to be in direct response to COVID-19.
When you say public service funds, what are you referring to? What do you mean?
Typically like programs that target, there's some examples in here like youth or seniors, substance abuse, domestic violence, employment training, crime awareness. However, whichever realm of that we choose, we would have to tie that back to COVID-19. I can tell you that the majority of the county funds that were used for public service have been geared towards the public health department, vaccine programs, food distribution programs, those sorts of things that, in my opinion, there's already an abundance of within the county. And I don't think as small of a municipality as we are, it would be beneficial for us to explore that realm. I don't think we would be doing our benefits or our citizens any good focusing funds in that area. The area that I would like to recommend would be the public infrastructure or public facilities, specifically the park that we just talked about with the park programs. And how do we tie that back into COVID-19? Very easily, it's an outdoor play area that will address the package that we previously just talked about, addresses what's called an inclusive playground. It doesn't necessarily mean it's designated for handicap. Inclusive means it's able to satisfy the needs of the young, the old, the disabled, the handicapped, the healthy, address all the needs within the community. We are in a qualified census tract, and having an outdoor facility for a COVID-stricken community is a very easily justification for the use of these funds. Another alternative for the use of the funds, which Susan at Tarrant County brought to us when we met with her, were things like outdoor park benches. If we wanted to put a lot of outdoor seating around the park, we could put in for park benches throughout all of our parks. But keep in mind, we can only do one project, and we can't lump all these different things into one project and call it a project name like we've done with other things. It has to be a very specific project that they're going to approve. Duplication of benefit, there is a clause in here where we cannot do anything that we've already allocated funds for within our budget. We can't do any budget planning, and we can't address a problem that we're already using other government received funds for. Government funds received for. Tongue twister.
I think the park would be a good one.
Well, from what you said, there's things over there we have to address.
Yeah,
So the safety issues, the legal issues,
Playground equipment,
yeah.
yeah.
big time
That's
safety
from adults
problem.
being on them little
Yes,
horses.
yes.
So there is a guidance related to public facility. We have to apply for a minimum of $75,000 and no more than $250,000.
Okay, 249,000 it is.
So what I would like to do is I would like to reach out to Whirlex and have them provide a similar quote for the same exact style services at Johnson Park, so we can do both parks.
Right.
And it'd be a park upgrade project that would be at the two different
Yeah.
locations.
They can do that under one proposal.
I believe so. When we were talking with Susan about this, she talked about the park benches and she referred to the park benches being at two different parks, but it's still being a park bench project. So I think we can make that happen. I'll work with her and talk with her about it.
As long as they're not easily tore up.
See if that's something that we can do. If for whatever reason, the park projects do not work, the other recommendation I would have, instead of park benches, and don't get me wrong, I think park benches would be a great addition to our park. But one of the other big things that they do with these funds is address HVAC, and our library. It's going to need a replacement on the HVAC at some point in the future. That may be a good alternative to utilize these funds for, is to replace the library HVAC with it.
I just know with HUD and projects like that, if we go for the maximum amount, probably gonna get denied. They're gonna try to get as many projects as they can in. They can't do that if everybody's asking for the maximum. So
I think
235.
we'll be in the ballpark between 100 and 120,000 for both parks is what I think would be a
Both.
rough estimate on the amount. I think it'd be very similar to the amount that we're looking to spend at Pittman Park at Johnson Park.
well, that may be doable there.
But I'd like to get council's guidance and recommendations on what project you think you would like to go with, so I can start drafting those documents and submit them. I'll bring it back to you in November for final approval for us to submit the RFP.
That's
So you
gonna
need a
be in by
consensus.
November
I do need a
12th.
consensus. Yes, sir.
Okay, is everybody good with the park project?
I think the park would be the best way to use it, because we already got problems there that need to be addressed before they're.
We're gonna have time, don't you have to have this in by November 12th, though, right?
Yes, ma'am. So
That'd be
November's
plenty of
meeting will be
time.
a special meeting where you can vote to
Okay,
pass the
all right.
RFP.
Okay, well, I think we have a consensus, Craig. so.
Yes.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, next item, City of Everman Halloween Festival, item 22003.
Hmm.
All right, so we have had and we're gonna get into that part on the next agenda item related to the events board, but I know there's been a breakdown in the communication somewhere between the events board and city staff and the liaison. And somehow this did not get on the last events board agenda. And since the last events board meeting, the president of the events board has stepped down due to her pursuing her nursing career. So the events board is once again short-staffed. We didn't want to wait any longer to try to get something before the council and approve to start moving forward. So we wanted to start planning a Halloween festival and then coordinate with the members of the events board to make sure it goes off without a hitch. But we need to advertise this and get a response to the school district ASAP in order for this to be successful. Traditionally, we've done it across the street at Pittman Park or at the community center, but obviously that's not going to be a viable location this year. So we'd like to propose utilizing Johnson Park. I did learn today that there will be baseball games at Johnson Park that day. However, by 4:30 PM, they'll be down to using their last field. And I don't feel that will be much of an impact on the event itself. Already talked with the president of the president of the Sports Association, who said that he's more than happy to assist us with handling parking and blocking off certain portions of that parking lot for the event. Our idea was to block off the north half of the west parking lot and allow vendors to set up on either side of the parking lot, all the way up and down. That'll leave the north half of the south half of the parking lot for vendors. The north half of the parking lot will be for all of the parking or people coming to the event. And then we'll have overflow parking on the east side as well. And I think we can put together a very successful event. Invite all of the schools out to come out and partake in this, and along with our other traditional vendors that we have come out and set up.
It's not enough parking.
You don't think so?
No.
Well, they can park at the school too, so.
It's more parking than we have across the street.
I'm just saying,
Yeah, they're having the trunk or treat too.
yeah, at the church.
Yeah.
They got
On
that
Sunday.
field, they got that
Think so.
field that they use, right,
At the Methodist church.
they got that
No,
field
Baptist
right
church.
there by the high school that the high school uses for parking all the time.
Yes, but we have to be careful with that because Mr. Helton owns the vast majority of that big block.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he'll have every car towed
Yeah.
that parks on any
Yeah, he-
blade of
he won't let
grass
you
on
do
his.
that.
Nope, nope, nope. So, yeah,
Mhm.
maybe up
Anyway.
at the high school, it'll be a little bit of a walk, but it won't be that bad.
They
You
need
talking about overflow
exercise.
parking at the high school?
Mhm,
Between the high school and the church.
yeah. Behind it and
Yeah,
in
and one
front
by the
of it.
baseball
and-
fields. I can't remember what it's called now.
Oh, the church cross.
Church Christ.
Yes, yes.
So,
That's okay. They're gonna be eating all that candy and they need the walk.
so what do you need on this, Craig? Or you just informing us of the plans?
I just need a consensus on if council is going to be okay with us moving forward. I'll ask for an actual variance next week on the agenda. But if I get a consensus tonight, I can tell the school that we're ready to move forward and we'll start advertising.
What date are you? looking at?
I'm sorry, October 30th. We'd look to start the event at 6 PM. Sunset on that day is roughly 6:45. And we would end the event at 9 PM.
Cool.
Everybody good?
Mhm. Be a fun time.
Okay, you got your consensus.
Okay?
Okay, moving on.
Item 4, Everman Events Board, item 22001.
As I mentioned, the president has stepped down
Right.
and there has been, and this isn't the first time that there's been a communication issue. And the problem with the events board, when it's an actual board of the council, is that they have to comply with all the same open meetings requirements that city council does. They have to post agendas, they have to have minutes drafted, they have to have motions and actions. However, everything that they do still has to come through you as council for an approval, and they don't have the authority to allocate any funds to it. So one of the things that I wanted to kind of just discuss and get your feedback on is because participation is low, maybe the potential of dissolving the events board as it stands and no longer having a board in place, but instead let's run a volunteer organization within the city where these volunteers can come together to support the events that we put on as a city. And they won't have to follow all the open meetings guidelines. They won't have to worry about minutes. They don't have any authority to spend any money anyway. Everything still comes back to city council as a whole. City staff can coordinate that with them. And we'll just I think it'll be a better opportunity for us to kind of have a volunteer organization that runs that way. We also don't have to worry about conflict of interest from council members being involved or spouses of council members being involved. Or, it'll just really open it up to get the support I think we need to run these events.
Cool.
Any thoughts?
It's a good idea.
I like the idea because then they don't have to worry about the 72 hours to have post meetings, and they can just call a meeting and have the meeting and don't have to have a quorum. And I think it'll be a little bit more lax.
It's
than
like
what
it
is
used to
now.
be, just a group of people deciding, hey, let's do this.
Yeah,
Yes,
like it was when I first got here.
So if we do this, one of the things I want to recommend is that we bring back a policy to council regarding volunteers with the city that kind of regulates and provides certain requirements similar to what it would require to be on a board. You can't have a criminal background. They have to, participate in so many meetings a year kind of a thing, or so many events a year. Let's set some guidelines in place for them to meet, to make sure that we don't just have people that say that they're a member or volunteer with the city, but yet never do anything for us or have a criminal background or, we want to make sure that we have folks that are putting forth a good image of the city.
So will we provide a background on them? when
We-
they apply?
We
the
can,
city will do.
we certainly
We
can.
should.
We do backgrounds. I mean, it would be very similar to how we do it with applicants. They would
That's
just have to, they would fill out an application to be a volunteer, and they would sign the waiver for the release of the background, and we would take care of doing the background. for them.
Or you're gonna have to get that done quickly, aren't you?
Yes.
So, okay.
Yes.
Is everybody okay with
Yeah, let's do
what we're
it.
discussing?
If that's the case, then what I'll bring forth, if you guys are ready to move forward on that, well, why don't we wait to do this next month? So that way the folks that are currently on the events board are still technically in good standing, can help out with the Halloween festival. Next month, that'll give us plenty of time to get the policies and procedures and things in place. And the next month, we'll bring back an ordinance that actually dissolves that events board and then creates the volunteer organization.
We're anticipating our next event to be the tree lighting, hopefully.
Well, if we're gonna do anything for Veterans Day,
Oh,
Veterans
that's
Day
right.
is November 11th.
So,
And I think what we're trying to coordinate is maybe doing something at the Memorial Park, since we won't, typically, we've done the breakfast with veterans, but obviously, we won't have that facility here. But I think the Memorial Park would be a great alternative to do something out there, maybe have some coffee and donuts and allow folks to come out and gather at the Memorial Park. We're hoping it'll be completed by then. And ready for visitation.
typically that event, you're competing with everybody else that has those events going on at the same time. So
Yes.
that's, Fort Worth has their parade. That's a big deal every year. So,
Yes, it is.
I guess just as long as it doesn't coincide with the same times, it might not be a problem.
we'd have to look around. I know Crowley always does something, and of course Fort Worth. So maybe we.
I know the
coordinate our
high
times.
school has always done something too.
Who's that?
The high school.
Yeah.
Always does something on Veterans Day. Because I have gone up there several times on Veterans Day in my old uniform for them.
Okay, next item, item 5, training, reimbursement, and council governance policy, item 22002. And this is Johnny Allen, correct?
Yes, I just wanted clarification on the training and make sure that the training is available. That we can take training and attend certain events.
Well, Johnny, you got to copy the council governance. As long as we have the money in there and you follow those guidelines, there's no reason why you can't go.
Correct, but I mean, for instance, for like EDC, there's no money in the budget, was outlined in the budget for EDC training.
Correct.
Okay, so I would like to attend the training in November.
And like I told you, that your option would be to ask council if it'd be all right to use council funds to attend that training, since the EDC does not have that budgeted. And we don't foresee a meeting happening anytime soon with them till Nicoletti gets back and we get things rolling again.
Mayor, I would, when it comes to the budget, I would consider the council's budget for training to cover not only the city council members, but also board members. The EDC budget, training budget itself would cover the staff members' training and annual services, but the board is an acting part of the city council. So I think if you're going to send any board members to training, whether it's an events board member, a planning and zoning, or EDC, that would come out of the city council budget.
Which is, that line item is $3,600. And if you divide that by 7, that leaves you approximately $515 per.
Well, you look at 3, 4 events, that money's gone. So with hotels,
We've not ever put the boards in there before.
Well, typically, we don't have many trainings for board members to
Yeah.
attend. This is kind of a rare instance that we have a council member who serves on both city council and the EDC. But
Mhm.
any training that board members would go to would come from city council's budget. We don't have a budget for planning and zoning. We don't have a budget for BOA. We don't have a
Yeah.
budget for Animal Control Advisory Board. All those trainings would come from city council's budget because they're acting as a board of the council.
well, and you're referring to people not on council too, right?
Correct.
Then we need to address that next year's budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can't use up council budget from people that are not on council to
Right.
receive training. So,
And one thing I think, we're about to get a brand new civic center. And one of my goals is I would really like to start hosting
Yes.
Cmo trainings, teach trainings and things locally that all members of the city can benefit from. And it's a potential revenue source as well when you host those sorts of training. The
Is
host
the-
typically gets to charge the fees.
Is it gonna be big enough to host something like that?
Absolutely. For training courses, yes. Conference, no.
Yeah.
But for training courses, yes, we'll be able to host
Okay.
training courses there.
So each, at this point, not counting other board members, right now, the money that's in the budget for this fiscal year divided between the council members is like $500 a person.
Right.
Okay, so once we spend that, we're done with our portion.
Yes.
Okay,
If she would like to use her portion in that EDC training that she would like to go, I think that that would be
sure.
Well,
fine.
Johnny, you're at TML now, right?
Yes.
Oh,
She's already at TML, then when is the EDC conference?
In November.
So it's coming up next month.
well, is she gonna have enough money between those two to $500 for two conferences?
Well, no, it TML, it won't even cover TML. Because you're talking hotel room for 3 nights. I mean, it doesn't even
2
cover
nights.
hotel.
Two nights?
2 nights, yes.
Okay, 2 nights. But even at that, most of the money's gone at that point.
Okay,
So that doesn't include registration, per diem,
yeah.
gas mileage, everything else. So, like I said, 3-4 events and the money's gone. So.
Right, but the thing of it is also is that has any council members scheduled any training?
Well, not right now. It's only October 5th.
Correct.
Well, we haven't had a chance to see what's available to see if we wanted to go. I think spending all of the money in the budget the first week of the fiscal year may not be fiscally responsible. That's just a personal opinion.
Well, I'm with COVID and everything, I'm just kind of laying low right now till things start to improve before I start attending these events again.
Yeah,
I believe the emergency management conference they do in San Antonio every year. I don't think they're having that. They didn't have it last year, and I believe they're not doing it this year. So and that's when I like to go to, because it just, in case we have an emergency here, that I know what I need to be doing. So,
yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have a Halloween festival with all the COVID.
but it's outside and
It's outside.
Yeah.
spacing and stuff. and
Everybody's
You're
gonna
not
stay away
indoors.
from
and
everybody.
You're not wall-to-wall people indoors. So.
It's hot, it's Halloween, you're already wearing a mask.
Bingo.
Good point, good point.
So, Johnny, what are you looking for? What are you looking from council? What are you looking at for council?
Okay, so you said each council member gets how much? $500?
Yes, it's what it looks like, according to
Well,
Susan.
broke down by 7, it's 500 and change.
Okay. Well, I guess not much then if that's going to cover be a little bit less than the TML conference.
How much is the EDC conference, Johnny?
I think it's maybe like $295.
And of course, there's 2 nights at a hotel then too, right?
Yes.
So,
It's a night or 2 nights, I'm not sure.
yeah, I think last time I went, I believe it was 2 nights, but I'm not exactly sure.
Is it? Oh, you said in November?
Yes.
I mean,
Well, going forward, I would just ask that they increase the budget for travel for council.
Well, Johnny, you got to remember, we got a tight budget this year, and that's why it's where it's at now, because typically it has been higher.
Well,
So-
I don't mind giving some of the money for her to attend the EDC if she's the one that's gonna attend the EDC, because I'm not gonna be attending the EDC, and I think we still need trainings in our committees and things like that, so.
Right, but we just need to make sure that, you know, if somebody else later wants to go, we don't want to spend all the money up front.
Right.
I mean, we're not even a full week into the fiscal year.
Or basically, we're just leaving it down to, if you spend your 500, that's it, you can't do anything else.
It's kind of what we've done, yeah.
That's fair.
Okay.
Any other discussion on that?
Do I need to put this as an agenda item at all next week, or do we need to take any kind of action on this?
I don't think so.
Don't think
Okay.
so.
No.
She's already over 500.
That'll
Yeah,
work.
pretty much.
Okay, item 6, allocation of $1,500 from Court Technology Fund towards the purchase of a new computer for the municipal court, item 22007.
So LT Systems is our court software. They were recently bought out by OpenGov and have changed their software requirements on us. We received notice of this last week, and the pretty much the CPU that court currently has does not have enough gigahertz to run the software that it's supposed to have. So it requires an upgrade. I've asked Doug to provide an estimate for the new computer, and it came in at 14 and some change. Because it is a court computer, we are allowed to utilize court technology fund dollars to make that purchase. But to do so, that would require special council action to approve those funds. This would not affect general fund at all, and we would just be asking the allocation of $1,500 to that purchase. Currently, there's $24,000 sitting in that account.
So this is about $1,400 and change for the computer.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we going to require any training, any software, hardware maintenance? I mean,
She's-
not maintenance, but
She already has all the
Setting up.
training and everything required to run it. It's just a software upgrade that they're doing, so there shouldn't be any training.
It's,
Okay.
required.
it's included in our contract with OpenGov.
okay, good,
Okay.
okay. So we'll get the computer, somebody's going to load everything we need and she'll be able to go. Okay, good.
All right.
No sneaky
Doug's
extra
Doug's
fees.
price includes installation, software, and
Okay,
all that stuff.
Okay.
Do we need to look into, for as a new IT person?
What?
A new IT person, I mean, for as, our software and our computers. I mean,
No, I mean,
is this the first, estimate that you've gotten for, that?
yes, ma'am. I mean, this is the only estimate I've gotten from it, but Doug is our contract IT professional that we've utilized in the
Well,
past.
reason why I bring that up is because of the problems that, the library board is having with, their, equipment.
Those computers were refurbished computers that were bought through insurance proceeds. Those were not brand new computers that were spec'd out by IT. That was what we
Right,
were
but
able to.
Right,
That
but
was-
supposedly it was not the computers, it was the person that did the work. So I'm just trying to make sure that we have the correct support that we need.
The IT issue that, at least that I'm aware of, is that the software crashed, the operating system on the computer itself crashed. However, that is covered under warranty, and we're doing a warranty claim to get that computer replaced. But no, it may have been due to who loaded the computer, but that would have been.
Okay, I think we're getting confused because with the library board, it was the fax machines and stuff were having the problems with being wired incorrectly.
Yes, the fax
So I'm
machine.
just trying to make sure that we have adequate support.
Right. I'm comfortable with the support that we're getting from our IT. The fax machine issue and some of the phone system issues were related to a third-party contractor, National Telesystems. That wasn't related to our staff IT.
Okay.
He is working to try to find a workaround. The specific issue we're having with the fax machine is that the telephone line that was existing there for faxes was taken away when we did the migration to the new phone system. We were told by the third-party contractor that would not affect our fax line. However, now we are discovering it did in fact affect our fax line. So we're having to find an alternative workaround to make that work.
So that's not
Okay,
our
thank
IT's problem, that's a problem.
It was a
with
third-party contract, correct?
Okay, any other discussion on that?
Well, yes. It says currently the fund balance is over $24,000.
That is correct.
Yes.
Which fund balance?
Court Technology Fund.
Why is it so high?
That's a good thing.
Yes, but how did it
Because-
get that high?
So every time a citation is written and somebody pays that citation, a certain percentage of that fine paid has to, by law, go into a court technology fund. It's a restricted fund. That
Yes.
fund can only be spent on technology upgrades within the court, which include things like ticket writers for the police officers, laptops, computers. So it doesn't just benefit the court, it can benefit the police department as a whole and the entire operation.
So we have just over $24,000.
That's because it was not touched for several years.
Oh, I was gonna say it's either that or we got a lot of criminals
Well,
running
we
around here
wanted-
paying tickets.
No, unfortunately, we haven't been collecting on those, but,
It'd be higher if COVID had been
yeah.
a
Yeah,
factor
yeah.
right now.
Right, yeah.
But the money has been accruing for several years. And then up to last year, when we just purchased a few of the ticket writers, before that, it had been many years since anything had been purchased.
Gotcha.
So
And we want to maintain a healthy fund in there.
Oh,
because-
absolutely. I'm not
because
complaining about that. I just want to.
If we ever have to do a massive server upgrade of some
Uh-huh.
kind or a CAD system upgrade of some kind, this is a great
Yes.
safety net for us to hold on to.
So is there any more equipment or
Yeah.
anything that's needed?
Not right now. We
we're
still have not received the new ticket writers. They're still in the project phase of getting that set up and implemented. So I think right now we're comfortable. I don't have any other requests pending
Okay.
for technology.
Cool. We're gonna hold you to that next month.
Okay.
When something pops up.
So
I don't have any right now.
No, aha.
if that's being brought forth next week for approval, then there would be a budget amendment also for approval for that line item.
Okay.
Anything
Gotcha.
else? Okay, next item 7. Resolution 2021-10-01, resolution of City of Everman, or resolution of the City Council of the City of Everman, Texas, assuming all responsibility for the upkeep and safety of military combat material donated by the United States Army Donations Program, item 22006.
This was in response to research for trying to get a display piece to be able to put into our memorial park. This is the Army Donations Program that many other municipalities have utilized that referred us to this. Mike Nicoletti reached out to them and found their requirements for being able to get a piece of military equipment to put on display. And one of the requirements is that the city council will adopt this resolution as it's worded to be able to get that award. The only thing financially that we would be responsible for is the maintenance and upkeep of it once it's here and any installation to get it here. We don't know what those costs are, and we won't until we find out what military piece of equipment they have available and are willing to donate and how far out it is and shipping cost and those sorts of things. But this is the first step to even be considered for a donation.
Okay.
Okay.
They will come get it if you don't take care of it. That's what happened at the Paint Museum.
Yes.
They-
Yes.
They came and got all their military equipment because it had not been maintained. So
I never knew why that shut down. I mean, it's so sad.
they came and picked it all up. So
So,
Yeah,
let's
they
say we get a something
Mhm.
and they bring it out.
and it gets graffiti on it.
No,
Okay.
I'm further ahead than that.
Okay, go ahead.
How do we pay for this?
We'll have to rely upon donors and things. We're gonna have to address it
Okay.
as it comes. We have nothing allocated within the budget right now to pay for something.
Let's check it.
We're gonna have to try to figure out that funding when we
Thank you.
get to it.
Yeah. 'cause
That's what I wanted to
That's gonna
hear.
be a wide open area down there for anybody to do whatever.
Yes, it will be. It will be. We'll have to keep a close eye on
And
things.
we're gonna take that liability.
Close
huh?
patrol. Well, it would be insured through us. I mean, we would add it onto our TMO insurance, just
Okay.
like any other asset that we have.
Mhm.
And if there's any vandalism to it and so forth, we would file a claim. I can tell you that on the police department side, we work with the Army a lot on some equipment that we have.
Uh-huh.
And if they come out annually and inspect it, if we have any issues, we just simply have to report it to them. I mean, they're not very, very strict. We just need to make sure that we're taking all the appropriate steps to maintain it appropriately and not just letting it
Okay.
fall apart or dilapidate.
We have to get
All right.
I
Get
don't
it.
remember, but do we have cameras down there?
We do not at that portion. I can look at adding cameras there and I can tell you that they're going to be about $2,500 a
I was
piece to
just
add
gonna say,
remote
where
wireless
we're gonna
cameras.
get the money for that. We need to start picking up aluminum cans on the highway. I just feel a need for fundraising.
Well, we went to the Crowley,
Donations.
the Crowley Memorial, and they have these huge shells, I guess from probably off ships.
Mhm.
But I mean, you're talking about something, 5, 6 foot tall and, this big around and
Mhm.
And
they're
those are from the
stacked.
22-inch guns off of a battleship.
I was gonna
Volkswagen.
say Lieutenant Commander there probably is aware.
Between that and then,
Okay.
you see anchors,
Yes,
that's something, all you have to do is pressure spray, it,
Yep.
and
We should have a bin out there, a big bin for anybody who wants to come and drop their cans off as a donation to the city.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
We go in-
I'm gonna
adds
put one
up.
beside it and ask them to drop their cash in that one, so.
yeah, but you're gonna have to stand next to that one.
Okay.
Okay, anything else on that?
We're good.
Okay, city manager's report.
I've got just a couple things. Briefly, I met with the president of the Sports Association. We've been talking a little bit about the football field and the baseball fields and goals here and there. And I've asked them about league sponsorships. And his response was pretty much that there's not the volunteer and the support within the organization to really take charge of that and move that forward. And that is a big, big funding opportunity that I believe they're missing out on. When we've researched it before, I tried to kind of help them kickstart the sponsorship program and told them that the city would probably be interested in entering into a local agreement with them to allow them to do sponsorships and advertise businesses within the fields and help raise funds to run that organization and put that money back into the parks as well to maintain and improve those fields. But because he doesn't have the staff and the folks on hand to be able to address it, I hate to see that money just skip away. And I think that's something that maybe we need to start addressing from a city side. So we're taking a look at the potential there, the revenue potential. If all the space is utilized and maximized, is anywhere between $250,000 to $500,000 annually. If we're able to get that sponsorship, and a lot of that money can be rolled right back into the parks to help park improvement. So it's a lot of money I think we're missing out on, whether the association does it themselves and rolls that money into the maintenance and improvement of the parks, or whether we do it. I think we're just missing out on that money as a community. So we need to be looking at that. After my conversation with him, it looks like it's going to be more of a city venture that I think we need to pursue. And so I may be bringing that back to you here in the near future to start pursuing that as an option to help fund a lot of our park improvements and park projects,
Yeah.
particularly at the baseball fields and the football field.
We might get that splash pad.
I might.
But that would be a better option because we know that we go back into the
Yes.
fields.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. yeah.
Because when I was down there, we had sponsorships, the money went towards the association,
Right.
baseballs, equipment, stuff like that. So,
Yeah, which if they were willing to put in the work, I would say all for it. But if we're going to be the ones responsible for putting in the work, then yes. And we had that very blunt
so
conversation.
we're on the right track though, of building these fields and stuff. We need to maintain.
Yeah, I think with the programs with the programs that we can operate within the city, I believe we can get to a point where those will be self-sufficient.
Okay.
And the funding that we raise through those programs and the sponsorships and the support, and then working with the sports associations, that will be self-sufficient, which would allow us to focus tax revenues back on the infrastructure and other needs that we have within the city.
Yep. I
So,
like it.
that's the goal there. The Arango family will be traveling to Washington, DC. They will be leaving here on Tuesday. We have a transportation bus that will transport the family. They'll be escorted by our police department from here to DFW Airport. 2 officers will be traveling with them to DC as the escort officers for the National Police Week next week. And the unveiling of Alex's memorial in DC. Upon their return, They come back on the 17th. We are currently looking at doing some sort of event or gathering to commemorate Alex's 1-year anniversary. That will be on October 22nd. So we may look to do something with the family here in Everman. Right now, it's looking like it may be just a very small city staff and family gathering for us to be able to do something at the Memorial Park. Memorial Park is coming along. We're hoping to have the monuments installed next week and the bricks that we have already received installed next week. We've updated the brochure and pushed that out online and on social media, and we're looking to set up the sign and may also try to hand out brochures and sell bricks at the Halloween festival as
Yes.
well, just to make sure that everybody's aware. All the funds that we raise from those brick sales will go right back into Memorial Park.
I have a question regarding purchasing the bricks.
Yes, ma'am.
The way that works, do you purchase a brick and have a military person's name, a police officer's name engraved on it? Is that the way that works?
It's not strictly restricted to just military and police. We strongly encourage military veterans and first responders, but we have not restricted it to just that. So we have had some community members reach out to want to honor people that may have contributed a lot to the community, such as maybe former superintendents of the schools and those sorts of things. And we're not opposed to including that as well. As long as the individual has contributed to the community, I think that's a good name to list. There is a lot of real estate out there to fill up. But yes, that is how the brick order works. The brochure itself, you just fill out the brochure and how you want it worded. The logos that you can choose from are available online, or you can even customize a logo. And you can do that by submitting it by email to Michael Nicoletti, and he works with the vendor to get that logo put onto the brick.
Cool.
Anything
I'm
else?
excited about that.
No, sir, that's all I got.
Next item, mayor's report. I just have 2 items from last night's mayor's council. Tarrant County is going for a bond election. Early voting starts October 18th to the 29th. Election day is November 2nd. Proposition A is traffic mobility, and it's $400 million. I think they've already have 30-something projects that they've already selected, if they get the funding, that they're going to fund. $200 million is going to be for cities, individual cities. 125 million will go for multi-jurisdictional, like our projects when they go through Fort Worth, Forest Hill, projects like that. And then $75 million will be discretionary funds for the commissioners and Judge Whitley, which each one of them will have $15 million in discretionary funds. So hopefully we can figure out a way to get a little bit of that cash coming our way. And I don't know, it might be some of the money they already done the bond package for Wichita.
Right.
So, but we've got some other things we want to talk to Commissioner Brooks about, and maybe we could get some of it. So
Race Street up to Everman Parkway. Same.
the next thing is they're doing a holiday grease roundup. And it's November 22nd through January 10th. And they're collecting and recycling old grease. I will forward the link to everybody, and I'll start checking I believe it has locations and everything on the website where you can go drop off your grease. They don't want it flushed down
Please.
in the drain.
don't do that.
Because it creates problems for the cities and
Yeah.
Fort Worth and everybody else. So, I mean, it sounds like a good cause, so I'll forward that information out to everybody, and then we'll, if I can get some brochures for it or something, we'll start putting them up, and maybe we can get it on our website where people know not to throw their grease away.
Please.
Do y'all know when they're gonna put the stripes down on Shelby? The road,
That's a Fort Worth question.
is it?
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
not know. I can ask, but I do not know the answer.
Oh, thank you.
Anything else? right, well, with that being said, the time is 7:19 and we are adjourned.